My name is Elizabeth Withstandley. I am one of the 3 artists that founded Locust Projects back in 1998. So I'm going to be walking you through some information today. I'm going to be walking you through eligibility, what the main gallery open call has to offer you as an artist. And then I will also be stepping through the application, talking about the review criteria, what the review committee is basing their judgment on and the categories that they rate. And then I'll also be taking questions at the end. So I'm going to go through this deck here, and then I'm going to show you a few other things. And then I'll answer questions at the end. Okay, moving on. So I think one of the most important things I know when I apply for any opportunity is understanding the organization. I'm an artist. As I mentioned, 2 other artists started Locust Projects with me. And we created the space to provide this opportunity for artists to create new works. So our mission statement has evolved a little bit over the years, but it's still stayed true to some of those core elements. So this particular opportunity is for local, national, and international artists to create a large-scale new work in our 2,500 square foot main gallery in the new space that you can see behind me here. Below that, here on this page that we're looking at is our mission statement, and there's a couple elements of the mission statement that tie directly to this part of Locust Projects programming and mission. So Locust Projects is an arts incubator producing and presenting exhibitions, programs, and projects. Our mission is to create opportunities for visual artists at all stages, all career stages, invite risk-taking and experimentation, and activate conversations around new art and ideas, advocate for artists and creative practices, and inspire the next generation of artists. For our open calls, for exhibitions, the pieces of the mission statement that tie directly to that are this: invite risk-taking and experimentation, advocate conversations around new art and ideas, and also create opportunities for visual artists at all career stages. I'll go into a little bit more of this at the end also, because I think it's really important to understand who we are as an organization. I think it's really important for you as an artist to look at what we've exhibited before, look at our programs, and really understand if you fit with our mission. So please, you can drop your questions. I think you should be able to put them into the Q&A, which I'll answer at the end. And then I'll put my email address also again up at the end. So the first step is you want to make sure that you're eligible, because why would you want to spend any time going through this application process if you're not eligible? So for this opportunity, it is open to national, international, local, professional artists that are not enrolled in a degree-seeking program. So many people ask, why are you excluding students? We have another program, which is called Lab MFA, where we do only accept MFA students to apply. And we do have another program that is for high school students. So this opportunity is for professional artists that are not currently in a degree-seeking studio art program. The proposed work should be new and never been exhibited, that you're producing specifically for this open call at Locust Projects. This is a very key element. And this is, I try to make the application more clear and more clear so people really understand this, because I don't want to you know, I don't want you to waste your time applying if you don't qualify. And I also don't want to waste the time of the review committee reviewing something that does not fit the eligibility. So the work should be a new project that you are looking at and understanding the space at Locust Projects, how that new project could exist in there. Collaborative artist proposals are accepted. I get this question all the time. So if you are applying as a collaboration, your support materials should be representative of that collaboration. I get variations on this question of, oh, this is the first time we've ever collaborated before. Should I put, my CV in or their CV, or what do I do? You need to combine the materials. Hopefully, if you're applying as a collaborative artist proposal, you have done some work before together. But if not, you're not excluded. It just makes it a little bit harder for you to put your materials together so that we can understand that you can work together and that it makes sense for you to work together. And then another thing to think about is artists addressing social justice issues, including race, identity, gender, basic needs, climate change, environmental advocacy. They're all encouraged to apply. We look for projects that are current, that start conversations, that engage the public. We're looking for you to push your boundaries, and there to be some type of conversation that you're looking to gain from your work by presenting it in a public space. So what do we offer? This is like a fantastic opportunity. And I can say from, starting this organization 25 years ago, it's hard to believe that we've, grown into this amount of project support. So we allocate a production budget of up to $10,000. There is a $5,000 artist fee. So if you are applying as a collaborative, that artist fee is just per project. So if you have 2 artists that are part of your collaboration, you only get $5,000. You do not get $10,000. If you have 4 artists that are part of your collaboration, you don't get $20,000, you get $5,000. These are per project amounts. You get $600 towards a round trip flight to Miami if you live more than 150 miles away. We have a residency house that we can put you up in while you are in Miami. And there's a $50 per diem stipend for out-of-town artists for 14 days. There's lots of tools and equipment, and there's AV equipment too, which I'll show you also at the end. There's a wood shop there at Locust. And then we also provide assistance in installing and deinstalling, along with promotional support and documentation. So I'm just going to hit quickly on the application instructions here, but I am going to walk you through the submittable application just to make sure everything is clear. So you will be describing how your project fits into our mission, 100 words. This is a short answer. We just want to make sure that you understand our mission, that you're pushing your boundaries, that you are creating something new, that you understand who we are as an organization, and you understand how your project fits into that. The project description. This one is one of the very important elements, and I'm going to do a deeper dive on it in a slide coming up, because it is very important. This is like the main piece that the review committee is looking at to understand what it is that you're wanting to do in the space. The project impact. So this is really important for us to help understand how the proposed project is an advancement in your current practice. How is it pushing your boundaries? What is it doing? What is this opportunity doing for you other than, oh, I've never had a show this big before. I've never been able to work with a budget this big. Those aren't great answers for the project impact. We're looking for more specific details about how working in this space, whatever conceptual ideas, materials, whatever it is that is specific to your project that is helping it take a step from your current practice and really advancing you. Draft of the floor plan rendering. I'll show you this again. There's pictures of the floor plan. I'll show you in just a minute too. We are looking to understand, since we are commissioning a new project, we're looking to understand how you're trying to use the space. So you can literally just download the floor plan and you can draw on top of it. And submit that. That's perfectly fine. You can make, you can do a digital mock-up. You can show that however you want. We just need to understand a visualization in the space. It's going to help support your project description so that we understand what you're trying to do. General artist statement, we'll go into that a little bit more later. Bio, CV, or resume, you attach that. That's pretty straightforward. So you're going to provide up to 3 images of the proposed project, and these can be just work in progress sketches. Everybody works differently, so there's no one way to approach this part of the application. Some people make mock-ups. Some people test a certain part of the project that maybe is new to them. And they're providing these image samples based on that. Other people just go do a deeper dive into the floor plan rendering and provide visualizations of what the final project would look like. Up to 5 images of previous work or related work. Probably should say previous and related. We do use this to help understand if the proposed project is feasible, if the review committee thinks that this artist that is proposing this particular project can fulfill it. And that's a lot of what the previous work tells us. The image details are just very straightforward. There isn't, since you're just attaching images in this step 8, you just need to tell us what they are so we understand what we're looking at. And the project budget, which I'll go into in just a minute here too. So let's look at the project description. As I mentioned, this is really the core of your application. This is the project that you're, looking to present to us in this space right here behind me. We want to understand, what are you proposing? What is this idea? We'd like to understand what mediums you're using, how you're going to be realizing it in the space. What are you trying to convey? What's the viewer experience? Just basically how you're trying to realize this idea and physically manifest it. It's very important to, keep it concise and very clear. Using big fancy words is not necessarily helpful. I would suggest writing this project description, giving it to some family members or friends who are not involved in the arts, asking them to read it and see if they understand what you're proposing. The project impact. So this was the 250-word answer that you're going to provide to us. where you're going to talk about how your project embraces experimentation and risk-taking in your practice. This is one of the elements of our mission, that we're providing this space and this opportunity for artists to do this. We're, love to look at projects that are trying to communicate something about, current issues that are happening. These are just, a few things that are listed. There's certainly more, more pertinent issues that you could be addressing in your work that we are certainly happy to see. And it doesn't mean, I do sometimes get questions of, oh, are you only looking for projects that have social justice issues? No, we're not. We are looking for works that engage the community and engage viewers in a larger thought process. We're looking for the artwork, to expand your practice and expand the audience. Okay, so there's a little varying numbers, with the square footage of the space. We see here it says 2,600 square feet. We've said 2,500 on other things. It is a little bit of a unusual space, and I'm going to show you some more images as we go. And there's some also in the floor plan that's attached to the submittable, which I'll show you. So if you can see my little arrow, I'm sort of circling. This is the area that's in the picture behind me. I'm facing this way. So this is behind me here in this picture. So the 2,600 square feet comes from adding this little extra spot here. So let me see what else I can show you. Okay, so this is the picture that's behind me. This here by this door opening here, this is where you come in. The lobby is this way. You come in this way. This is the project room that's on the other side of this wall. This is an installation by Raphael Domenech, who had this was the first project we had in the new space, but it was before we had the wall up for the project room. So it's a little deceiving in that it's taking up a larger space than what you have at the moment. Here's another view. So this area here, so this doorway, it goes into the project room, which is a 625 square foot space. This area right in front of it where this roll-up door is, that's that extra space that is part of that 2,600 square feet, but we haven't had artists use that space yet. We've only had a few shows in the new main gallery because we just moved there last year. So I just want you to kind of understand the space a little bit. And then, so here's an overhead. And again, this is that kind of unusual space that I'm mentioning. This big space here is where Tanya Kenyati, which is the work behind me, where her piece is. And we'll go back. I'll show you a little bit more about the floor plan in just a minute too. So your artist statement and your CV. So you have to keep in mind, so we put a different review committee together for each open call that we do. The review committees are made up with past exhibiting artists and a local curator. So you just got to keep in mind, we don't know you, we don't know your work. So the artist statement is really like an introduction to your work and your practice so that we can better understand your proposed project. So tell us about your practice. What is your work about? Do you have particular themes that run through your work? Is your work specific to a particular medium, or does it span various mediums? And how does the viewer play a role in when you present your work and when you think about it? The CV is pretty straightforward, just exhibition history, bibliography, education awards, residencies. We don't do any massive deep dives into the CV or resume, other than just we use it to look at, to think about this feasibility. And when I go into what the review committee is thinking about, I'll talk about it more there. If you are a collaborative group, you need to, when you attach the CV or you attach the artist statement for a collaborative group, should be a collaborative artist statement. It should be for that collaboration. The CV also will should be for that collaboration. If you don't have a history of working together, then you can each put a page or two from your own resume so that we can understand who you are. And again, I'm going to take questions at the end. Image samples. We talked about this a little bit before, so you're just going to provide us some visuals of the proposed project. That's that up to 3 samples, and samples of your past work. And just keep in mind that all of these elements that we're asking you for are telling a larger story to us about your whole application. So we're looking in the past work for an understanding of maybe the scale and the scope of work that you've done before, to understand if you're able to create this project in this 2,500 square foot space. If you have video links, there's a few spots for them on the application that you can use, or you can upload a PDF. I have just enabled that. You can upload a PDF and you can embed the links in that. My preference is if you put the links in the little sections that I've given you, because it just makes it easier for the review committee. Oops, I didn't mean to go on. Image sample list. So this is just you detailing what you've attached so that we understand. Give us a title, what is it comprised of, what are the dimensions, and what year is it from. The project budget. So, don't let this stress you out. I know for me, when I apply to different things and there's a project budget, it does add an extra level of anxiety sometimes. But don't let it. We're just looking to understand that what does it take to do what you're proposing. Because somebody could propose this absolutely fantastic project to us, but it would actually cost $40,000 to do. So we want you to do a little research. We want you to understand what will it take to create what you're proposing. So these are just some, examples of things that should or could be in your production budget. Which would be fabrication, equipment rental, materials, if you need specialized lighting, if there's some kind of technical support that you need for something very specific in the project, public programs and activations. If you have, additional artists or assistants beyond what we cover. So if you're a collaborative group, for example, you've got 2 people and you need more money for travel, you could put that in your budget if you needed to. If you have a project that's just a massive installation that seems like it's going to go beyond the 24 hours of basic infrastructure support that we provide for you, then you could put that in there. Assistant fees, if you have an assistant, you could put it there. Shipping, So if there's any specific elements you need shipped from your studio to Locust and from Locust back to your studio at the end, you're going to need to put that there. And disposal kind of goes to that. Sometimes people are making things where they don't need the elements sent back to them. Any other cost for the project, just beyond what we basically talked about. Your artist fee should not be part of this budget. That 5,000 artist fee is something that you get that is separate from the production budget. Moving on. Sorry, stuck. Okay, the review process. This is really important. I know it's important for me as an artist when I'm applying for an opportunity, is understanding what is my proposal being, how is it being evaluated? So as I mentioned, proposals are reviewed by a rotating review committee, which is past artists that have shown either in our previous space or spaces. We're in our fourth space now, and a local curator. So that though the committee, which will be about 3 to 4 people, will be evaluating your proposal on these 5 bullet points that I have below here. And they're going to, there's 5 points that they're going to allocate towards each thing. Then the scores are going to be averaged, and then that will lead us to a list of finalists that get discussed in a Zoom meeting with everybody together. So the conceptual strength of your proposal, ambitious ideas, scale, and or use of the space. There's 5 points given to that. 5 points maximum. The strength of your past work. So really think about those work samples that you're attaching. Sometimes we get like fantastic artists that have really great past work, but the proposed project is lacking. But at least it will make you stand out in this one category. For a unique or innovative approach to transforming or activating Locust Project space that is an extension of your practice. So we're going to be reading that project impact, that 250 words. We're going to be thinking about that in relationship to your project proposal and the visualization that you've given us to give you up to 5 points in this category. Feasibility of the proposed projects and related programs within the budget and logistical concerns. This is another category where sometimes we get an awesome proposal, but it is completely not feasible. It could not be done within the budget, or the artist that's proposing it has shown no support materials that would make the review committee believe that they could accomplish it. So that's why the 3 samples of the proposed project and the past work, your CV, and your project proposal all are looked at heavily in trying to figure out this feasibility. In addition with the budget. So if you've really failed on detailing out some of those things in your budget, you maybe don't understand the cost of certain things in a big way, then that would bring you down too. We have gotten budgets in the past that have been where artists answer that question with, I can produce this project within the budget provided. That is not a good answer. That does not help you in this feasibility score whatsoever, because you're not giving us any indication that you know what goes into making this project. So please don't answer it that way. And then the fifth thing that the review committee looks at is a compelling approach to contemporary artist practice, societal concerns, or community impact. They're looking to understand that you know where you fall into the contemporary art world, that you're not making derivative work, and that you have an idea that you're trying to communicate, and the way that you're putting your whole project together is doing it in an interesting way, a way in which viewers can come into the space, engage with the project, they can understand what it is you're trying to convey, or they're left with questions because you've presented a project that causes them to, think about things in a different way. So those are the 5 things that the review committee is rating your proposal on. So they're all very important. So the proposals are due Wednesday, May 29th at midnight Eastern. In your submittable account, it will tell you what time that is for you. I live in Los Angeles. For me, that would be 9 p.m. We do not accept any late proposals. Every year I get emails after the fact where artists will say, oh, I was trying to upload and it wasn't midnight yet, but the form closed because it's midnight Eastern. And don't wait till the last minute to upload your proposal in case there's technical difficulties. A submittable is a third-party program that we use to gather all the applications, but we are not the technicians that have programmed submittable. So if you have internet problems, if there's some glitch with submittable, and you've waited till the very last minute, then, unfortunately, your proposal is not going to make it in. We do open calls every year. So if you feel like, wow, this is an awesome opportunity, but maybe I'm not quite ready to apply, we'll do this open call again next year. And we do another one for the project room. So you can ask questions in the chat. I'm going to go over a few more things. I'm going to go to the submittable application now. And you can always email me. I answer email every day. So let me change my share. What am I going to change it to? I'm going to change it to this. I wanted to go back to our website because, again, just as an artist, whenever I'm applying to any organization, I make sure that I really understand them as, what they're doing and what they support. So when you're trying to answer that first question, the 100 words about how does your work fit into our mission, if you read through this page about our history and our mission, you'll see this great section here about commissioned exhibitions and residencies. This directly applies to, what you're applying to. Locust Projects is a commissioning organization. We are commissioning you to make new work if we select your project. That is to be shown specifically at Locust Projects. Now I'm just going to walk you through a few things on the submittable form. So once you on our website, well, you will first start in the submission section and you will have read this whole page that we've just gone over. You'll click the Start Submission button and that will lead you to submittable. If you don't have an account, that will prompt you to make one. Accounts are free to make. So the first thing that you'll do is it makes you fill out your address first. Then you will get to this checklist. Some people have had some trouble with it, so I just want to make sure that we all understand it. So the purpose of this checklist is so that you understand eligibility, what types of projects are eligible. So by checking each one of these boxes, you are saying that this is true. My proposal consists of new, never been exhibited work. True. I do not have an exhibition plan for the future for this proposed project. My project can be produced within the provided budget, and I'm not currently enrolled in school for studio art. If all of these are not true, then you are not eligible. And what will happen is it will tell you you're ineligible. We're sorry, you are not eligible for this opportunity. It doesn't mean that you can't fill it out again. If you do that in error, you can just start it again. Oh, we went back to Locust Projects. Look at that. That's okay. I'm just going to go back to it for 1 second. The reason why we put that eligibility in there is because we were getting a lot of applications where people were not eligible because they didn't read the material. They never came to one of these info sessions, and it's just wasting everyone's time. So you can see, I can come back here. So once I click all these things, I can then advance to the application, which will be all of these 10 things that we just went over on the other sheet. And then I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'm going to go to questions. And the one more thing that I'm going to show you is the floor plan. So on our website, if you click this download floor plan and images, it will bring you to this PDF. So there's the exterior of Locust Projects in the new building that we're in. Here are some more pictures of the space, some of the same pictures I've shown you. Here's a nice illustration of when we're kind of referring to 2,500 square feet, what we mean. It doesn't mean that you can't include this area if you want to. We just need to be able to get into the project room, and we need to get into this space under the mezzanine. But you could, spill into that area if it made sense for your project. And that one I've shown you before. So on any of these, you download the PDF and you can literally just draw on top of this. You can draw little arrows, say, okay, this is going to be a monitor here. This is going to be a bird's nest, whatever your project is. Or you can take one of these pictures and you can, digitally create a sample that gives us a visualization of what you're trying to do. So definitely download this. And that's what you can, for that part of your application, which is the floor plan rendering of the proposed project. That's where you're going to attach either a page from the floor plan where you've indicated, how you're using the space, or you've downloaded one of the images and you've created a digital representation. Okay, so now and I was going to show you one more thing. One more thing I was going to show you is this. We do have some AV equipment. I'll just zoom into this funny sheet that we have. We do have some projectors. So if there's kind of basic AV equipment that you need for your project, we do have some things on hand. You don't need to account for them in your budget unless somehow your project, requires destroying them. So we do have a number of projectors here. You can see there's 2 of these. There's one of these. There's a couple of those. There's a lot of media players. So if you have basic, like I said, basic AV equipment, you can probably account for it in the budget that we have it for you to use. If you need something really specific, then I would put it in your budget. Okay, so now I'm going to go to questions. And I'm just going to answer them in order. So we have a question that says, can we submit for projects that could require an artist to recreate or change the work over the course of the exhibition? Yes, absolutely. If your idea, if that's something that plays into your concept and your idea, you absolutely can do that. And anybody who has asked a question here, if I haven't given you enough of an answer, just ask another question at the end and I'll clarify more. Next question. How many applicants do you receive for the main gallery open call and for the project room open call in the fall? So the project room open call in the fall, we had about 575 submissions, which is a lot. This is the first time we've done the open call for this new space at Locust Projects, because like I said, we just moved into it last year in 2023. In the past, we get about 400. So it's a lot. This is a bigger space though. So I'll be curious actually to see, you know, how many proposals we get this year, because 2,500 square feet, it's a big space to hold an idea. And again, if you have a project that maybe doesn't work on that scale, we do have the project room, which is 625 square feet. We'll launch that open call again in the fall. Question says, new, never been exhibited. Can it build off of past work, similar components combined, or moving into a new level? Is always a difficult question to answer. So the best way I'll answer it is, so the piece behind me is building off, this is Tanya Kenyati, and she was building off a project that she had previously done. In this case, she adapted it to be relevant to South Florida. So the structure that's behind me has all these, there's like these whistles. It's not a good way of saying it, but these things that make sound, and there's air that pushes through them. So they're making migratory bird sounds that relate to South Florida. So yes, you can build off of past work, but it needs to make sense to us, and it also needs to really be an expansion of what you've previously done. So in that project impact, you can use that space to talk more to that issue. What if one of the artists in the group is getting their MFA, but one isn't? Still uneligible? Yes, you're not eligible. I'm sorry, but you can just wait another year and apply. Next question is, could you please clarify which specific area of the main gallery will cover? Does this also include the space right in front of the project room? Okay, I think I already answered that question. The answer is yes, you can use that space in front of the project room if you want to, but it's also fine not to. We just need to make sure that there's accessibility. And accessibility is another thing that I should mention. We are ADA compliant, so you would be best suited to propose a project that would be ADA compliant. We need wheelchairs to be able to get around the space. We need wheelchairs to be able to get in and out of the project room and that mezzanine area. Time frame for the exhibitions for the open call. When will they start and end? Good question. So we are looking to program our 2025 and openings in our 2025 and 2026 schedule. Usually the exhibitions last 2 to 3 months. To meet the new criteria, can the proposed work include vintage components or materials that are found or reclaimed? The materials don't make any difference to us in terms of the new criteria. New to us means newly created, it doesn't mean that you can't use an old typewriter. Can we submit video of our work? So you should only be putting in links for the time-based media if you are a time-based media artist. We do not want to see videos of, a gallery show. If you're a performance-based artist, I'm going to throw that into time-based, that it's going to make sense for you to provide video samples. Can the light be controlled in the space if the work requires dim dark space for projections? That's a good question. So you can see as I duck here, so there is windows and that light is coming in. So it can be darkened to an extent. It can't be completely blacked out. The project room can be completely blacked out. So if you have a project that is very sensitive to light, the project room may be a better space for you. But yes, you can alter the space. I mean, you can alter the lighting here. The lights can be turned off. Some things can be dimmed, but there's windows all around that are up high, but there's light that comes in and skylights too. How long does the artist have to complete the proposed work upon acceptance, i.e., what is the time between acceptance and the show? Is that timing flexible? Also, how much time do you have to install and fabricate the site? So if you are selected, we will work with you on a date that works for both of us, so you have enough time to do what you need in your studio if you need time, prep time before. As far as install time, we do offer that. I gotta remind myself of the number of days. I want to say it's 14 days. Yeah, 14 days. So 2 weeks that we have allotted for that changeover of exhibition. If you have a project that's, more expansive than that, it doesn't mean that we don't want to hear about it. Just add those details to your project description. Because, what we want to do at Locust Projects is we want to help facilitate your fantastic idea. Next question. Can we use funding from other sources yes, absolutely. Let me say the whole question for those people who are watching this online after the fact. The question is, can you use funding from other sources for the project budget? Yes. So if you have a grant, from, wherever, if you have a grant from wherever for this project, you certainly can put that into your budget. If your project is going to be more than $10,000 and you have sources of income, absolutely. If selected, what is the installation time allotted, expected show date later in the length of show? Okay, I think I've answered that already. Does the facility have ladders, lifts, and hanging apparatus? Yes, we do. When is the Lab MFA open call? We just had the Lab MFA open call. We just selected the Lab MFA artist for this summer. That open call usually gets launched around January, February each year. And then we select the artist usually in April, but in this case, we selected them at the beginning of May. How many projects are selected each year? Can we request a specific time frame to have the project in the gallery? From this open call, we'll probably select maybe 4 proposals. I would not suggest a specific timeline at this stage if I were you, because I think it might be a little bit more limiting. If you get to those advanced stages, again, we want to help you facilitate the project. So we'll work with you. Okay. I wanted to ask, for artists residing outside of Miami, they can only get a tentative idea of cost for building a budget through Google, and there is a possibility that it may vary from the actual costs. Yeah, and we understand that, like, especially with foreign artists that are applying, we understand that things might cost differently where you are than where we are. But just do your best with it. We just want to understand that you have a understanding of what it's going to take. Can the proposal include documentation of previous works combining installation, etc., of completely new work showing series together for the first time? Can the proposal include documentation of, well, the proposal will include documentation of previous work and the previous work sample, previous work samples that you'll provide. I'm not sure I understand the question fully, but we're looking for new projects that we are commissioning you to do. So we're not looking for, hey, I've worked on these series of performances and installations and I want to put them all together in a new show. We're not really looking for that. But again, you can just add a question on the end there if I haven't answered. Can you give some more detail on the plans for future exhibitions? Could we still have plans to execute the projects, just not at Locust if we aren't selected? Can you give some more detail on the plans for future exhibitions? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking us. If the proposed project that you propose isn't selected, you certainly can show it somewhere else. You'll have to clarify because I don't know if I'm actually answering this correctly. What happens to the work afterwards? Are there any limitations, constraints? So you tell us what happens to the work afterwards. You need to plan that into your budget in terms of if there's elements that need to come back to you. If you've created this massive scrap wood, sculpture that needs to be dismantled and disposed of, that needs to be in your budget. Locust Projects is not a commercial gallery. We do not sell anything. The work is completely owned by you. Okay, should our budget stay within the 10,000? Your budget doesn't have to stay within the 10,000 if you have other funding. If your budget goes above the 10,000 and you don't have additional funding, it's going to, put the feasibility aspect of your proposal in question with the review committee. I saw that the current space has 2 monitors when I visited there. Are they available for proposals? Yes, there is a bunch of monitors. If you have, you can email me if you want to see that equipment list and I can share that with you. But yeah, there's more than 2. I think there's 4 more. Okay. What is the documentation support available? For example, what images at the end, for example, just images at the end of the install, but not necessarily during the run of the exhibition. We do document every exhibition. I can't tell you exactly at what point in the time frame that your show is up that it is being documented, but those will all be shared with you. How many projects are chosen? So I already mentioned that, probably about 4. Could you paint art directly on the walls? You could. You just need to, again, work with your budget that the walls need to go back to the white at the end. Can I bring my partner and son? Yes, most likely yes, depending on if there's another artist in the residency at the time that you need to come. But we will certainly work with you. The cost of bringing your partner and your son would need to come from your budget, not from us. What type of lighting expertise is available versus should be budgeted? I mean, there's lighting there. You can see there's track lighting there. I only would budget for something if you need something really specific, like I need this super pinpointed light that, you know, is a specialty item that we would not have, then you should budget for that. Duration of the show, we already answered that. Okay, thank you for this. This is so informative. I am looking for the date that the exhibition would be, but I can't seem to locate it. So I think we've covered that. So 2025, 2026 is when we're looking to fill in spots. Does the project room also have the never before exhibited requirement? Yes, it does, because that's part of our mission. Yes. So we were looking for new work and we're looking to commission new work. That is, if the one thing that you walk away from today, knowing and understanding about Locust Projects, that should be it. What is the ceiling like in terms of suspending things from the overhead? I mean, you can see, you know, Tanya's piece is suspended. It can take some weight. I can't remember exactly what that surface is, but there, it can take a fair amount of weight. If it's excessive, I mean, I don't know, like if you're looking to hang something that's say 500 pounds, then you probably need to build something into your budget for that. If the work is interactive or changes throughout the exhibit, is a video okay? I'm guessing you're asking maybe about the work samples related to this, but yeah, things can change over time. You can send us a video link for the, you know, to help explain your proposed project some more. Does the proposed work have to be newly conceived, or can it be something that has been worked on for a long time but never been exhibited? It doesn't have to be newly conceived. It just needs to be newly realized, because you are making it specifically for our space. So there's obviously things that you're going to need to adapt and change about it to make it work in our space. You know, I know, I'm an artist. I apply to things all the time. And, you know, sometimes I'll apply with a proposal and, you know, I won't get that opportunity, but that project will evolve and change over time. So that's fine. Thinking about work samples, if you have work samples that illustrates, you can execute the project at the scale, but there are other samples which better illustrate the content that you're proposing. Where would you best place that in the application? So you have two spots. So you do have the 3 examples that relate to the proposed project and the 5 examples of the past work. So that should cover this question. If you have some samples that are directly related to what you're proposing, even of work that you've already created, you can put them in that 3 section. Just make it clear in the image list so we understand what it is. For instance, can you show that you've executed full-scale installations at the scale we are proposing, but there are other samples that better illustrate the themed intros? Yeah, I feel like I've answered that for you. Is Locust Project able to facilitate with studio space for production of large-scale work? There is some studio space here in this big new space we're in, which is an 8,000 square foot warehouse. You will have access to the main gallery, also. So there is some space to help facilitate what you're doing. For hanging pieces, is there any hooks or pipes? Ceiling is cement, right? Yeah, it's some cement. It's there's not necessarily hooks, pre-existing hooks up there for you, but you could put them in. I mean, again, as you can see, we're hanging the structure there. If you are an MFA right now, but will graduate in early 2025, does this still exclude you? Yes. We're looking for professional artists that have been working in the field to apply to this particular opportunity. Would you repeat how many people you provide to assist with construction costs versus people we should provide? I mean, there's one to two people at Locust Projects that would be helping you in that 24 hours that we do a lot to help. So if you have a large, if it's very, very expansive and you need extra support, then you should probably budget in an assistant for yourself. I understand this depends on the number of proposals, but in the past, how long does the review and selection process take? I try my best to get it done as quickly as possible. It's a huge process, especially when, nearly 500 applications come in. But what the schedule that I've set up is the review committee will be reviewing everybody's proposals in June and July, and then hopefully in July, the committee will be meeting and we'll be talking about those top ranked proposals. So I'm hoping that by the beginning of August, we would be getting back to you. What is the requirement that you can't have plans for the future? You can have plans for the future. What we don't want is, hey, I'm proposing this project for you, and I'm planning to show it in the summer of 2025, the same project. Your plans for the future are much better suited if they happen after the fact, because we're a commissioning organization and we are kind of premiering your project. But it doesn't mean that it can't go on and you can't do things with it in the future. If an artist doesn't have prior experience of working with sculpture, installation art, what are their chances of getting selected? Or if there's an installation art that's not related to supporting proposal, can we still add it to show that we are capable of leading this project? That's a good question. So we do look for evidence of things. So if you've never done installation art before, let's just say you're a painter, and you do have this idea for this grand project, we would be looking for some examples in your work samples that show at least you've taken a step in this direction, that, maybe a friend of yours has a small garage space and you've, there's something that bridges that gap from your painting work to this large scale installation. And that you can also show that in your proposed work samples. You can show some sort of tests of the idea. If sound is a component of the installation, can we send a link video in the installation that includes sound? Yes, absolutely. So just use those video links for time-based media. All right, we got to wrap up here, so hopefully I can get through these quickly. Can an XR project be presented even if the interaction dynamics are designed for one person at a time, or do they only accept proposals that will allow interaction of multiple people at a time? It's hard. That's hard to answer. We are a public space and we are trying to engage the audience, you might just want to think about if there's multiple activations that can happen at the same time, or what is the amount of time that one person is interacting with it. So it could be, just depends. Can we build removable walls? Yes, you can. Just put it into your budget. Can we project? Can the project be only video? Can the project be only video? So we are a site-specific installation space. If your project is only video, then it needs to make sense in the space. The video links count as one of the past works, 5 examples, correct? I mean, I don't police the the work samples. It's there for you to use if you need to use it. So just use your best judgment. If one has never produced work at the scale required for the main gallery, is it best to wait to apply until one has achieved something closer to the scale? That's a hard question to answer. I'll answer it from my point of view as an artist. I started Locust Projects 25 years ago. I have been making professional work for 25 years. I have made installation work before. I have never made anything on the scale of this new 2,500 square foot space. For me personally, as an artist, I would probably apply to the project room, because I don't think in my work samples, I would be able to show that I can support something that large. That's just a personal answer. You can do with that with what you want. Some people can maybe better show that evidence maybe than I can in the work that I've done. This opportunity at Locust is a big, huge opportunity. Like I said, I have been making work for 25 years. I have never been provided an opportunity like this in my whole career. Nobody's ever paid me $10,000 to produce a project or given me a $5,000 artist fee. So this is a big opportunity. So you do want to make sure that it's a competitive field. And you just want to make sure that everything in your application, tells the story to reinforce your project. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick today. So I don't want to dissuade you and say, oh, no, don't apply to this if, you don't have anything that seems like you could do it, because you may have examples in your work that, would make us believe that you could pull off something on this scale. But I think another thing to think about is like, oh, if I'm having trouble with the budget, like if I'm having trouble figuring out, will this $10,000 budget, cover what I'm doing? Some of those things might lead you to, maybe I'm not ready for this type of opportunity yet. And that's okay. It's also a great process to go through to just help realize an idea. And then that can later become something. Okay. Well, oh no, there's more. All right, I'm just going to answer these last 2 questions. We already talked about the selection process. So I'm hoping to get back to you all in August. Can I include video documentation of video installation works, even if my proposal doesn't specifically mention video? My proposal primarily focuses on immersive aspect and site-specific elements. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just from reading this question, I would think that your video installation work would be related to, you showing us an immersive experience and site-specific elements. So strength of your past work is part of the review process, and it should also tell this story about what you're proposing. Okay, well, we're gonna wrap things up now. So please, I'll put it in the chat here. Send me an email if you have any questions, because we want I'm sorry, I'm doing two things at one time, trying to type submissions at Locust Projects at locustprojects.org. Okay, there's my email address. I will answer your questions. Do not wait till the last minute. I'm not answering questions at, an hour or two before submissions are due. You may be lucky and I might be, but I would not count on that. So get your submissions in early, so you don't run into any technical problems. Let me know if you have any problems with the submission form. But again, Submittable is a third-party application, so some technical questions need to go directly to them. So good luck, everybody, and I look forward to receiving your proposals and preparing them for the review committee. Thank you for joining me today.